Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and president of brokerage up and realestatecoach.com. I have one of my favorite people in the world with us today is Michael Creasa. He is the executive editor with agentinnercircle.com. And also he's my go-to expert on video. He's been in this space for 15 years. And we're going to be talking about 5 dumb mistakes that even smart realtors make. Welcome, Michael. I'm so glad to have you with us this morning.
Hey, Bernice, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun, as always.
Oh, we always have a great time. And I've learned so much. I think you were the speaker guy, the video guy, but I mean, you were that interview guy. But tell me what you're doing right now with this Agent Inner Circle, because I thought this was really fascinating. I think our listeners would like to know just a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. My partner, Alex Camelio, and I, and Lauren Wallace, Agent Inner Circle is all about a community of like-minded agents that come together and they share with one another. And you're thinking, Bernice, Michael, how crazy is that? I mean, agents are actually going to share what they're doing. So if you go to our blog, agentinnercircle.com, by the way, we were ranked, we just found this out a couple of weeks ago, out of all the thousands of real estate blogs out there, we are within the top 10.
Wow.
Top 10 of all the real estate blogs. And we weren't even trying. And this was done by an independent body. I think it was FeedSpot or HubSpot. I'll give you the exact people afterwards. I'll look them up. But yeah, that was pretty cool to be ranked within the top 10 of all the thousands of blogs out there. So
millions of blogs that are out there. My goodness, yeah. Because you've got blogs that are coming off of places like Inman News, Risk Media, and to make that top 10.
They didn't even make the list.
So they weren't counting the news media, but they were looking. I'll be interested in seeing that, Michael. That's great. So, for our listeners, agentinnercircle.com, great place to go and get information where agents are sharing about what works and what doesn't work for them. Anything that you've seen that's kind of a hot topic right at the moment?
Well, video is always a hot topic.
Okay.
You should know that. One of the things that I've discovered is the new frontier, believe it or not, is LinkedIn, of all places, for video content. And you would think, LinkedIn, video? It's like peanut butter and cheese. The two don't really go together. But LinkedIn now is what YouTube was back in 2005. It's this playground, if you will, where people are actually starving for content. And relevant video content, because there is so little of it out there, is being watched. And so what's happening, you're getting comments, you're getting feedback, you're getting engagement. YouTube, in comparison, is huge. I mean, there's 4 billion views every single day on YouTube. How do you compete? Well, you still can compete, but you have to know how to do it. Versus walking into a playground like LinkedIn, I would say it's a level playing field right now for any realtor that has one of these, smartphone. You can be producing content and engaging with clientele that is starving for this type of content.
Well, you make a really good point here, Michael, and I hadn't thought about this. I heard this. I did an article for the Illinois Association that is running in October, and we talked about, that was one of the things one of the people I interviewed talked about, is that she's seen this trend for the millennials to all be on LinkedIn. They're not on Facebook, but they've moved over to LinkedIn because that's where you're supposed to be if you're getting started in business. But the other thing that's interesting about LinkedIn is that audience is bifurcated by profession. Mm-hmm. Or I shouldn't say bifurcate, but it is separated by profession. So you've got people who are really tied together, or that, you've built, with Facebook and everything, it's kind of just all over the chart. But there, you've got professional affiliations. So you can pull out realtors, you can pull out people who are teachers or other kinds of things. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that are making. So a good takeaway is if you're doing your video content, make sure that it gets on LinkedIn. So that's huge. Thank you, Michael, on that one. So what are some of the dumb mistakes that smart realtors make?
Yeah, we'll call them dumb mistakes. It's what you don't know that you don't know, and you mentioned millennials. I was teaching a class a couple of weeks ago, and I was getting into the SEO part of video, how, if you've got a good video, you have the tags and keywords, you're going to get ranking. It's all about SEO. And I had a guy in the front row, his hand went up. Oh, sir. I'm thinking, what, sir? But, I work for a living like you do. He says, what is SEO? And you've known me how many years. I was one sentence ahead of my brain. I'm trying to catch those words as I was about to say, what the, and I'm pulling the word back. So he's 25, and I go, you're messing with me. He says, no, what's SEO? And I said, well, okay, let me write it down on paper. You may want to Google what that is. Paper, you'll find it. It's like a blog, but it's written. He didn't know.
Did you actually say that?
Yeah, I said, you know me. Yeah. Then they got to carry me out of the room kicking and screaming. But it was a sincere question because we take it for granted that everybody knows what we know. And that's a mistake that we make in real estate when we start using terms and terminology that we think that our customers know. So it's a classic, you don't know what you don't know until somebody points out the fact that you don't know what you don't know. So millennials, yeah, I take it for granted they know what to do with these things because they grew up with them, but they don't. They really don't. So classic mistake number one is orientating your phone to shoot video for the platform that you're going to be uploading it to. Now, what do I mean by that, Bernice? Well, if I'm doing stuff in YouTube, everything has to be, the phone has to be held this way, horizontally, because
Uh-huh.
YouTube is all about high definition video. But if you look at something like Instagram or Snapchat, Instagram, you can still do high definition this way. But Snapchat and even Facebook now prefers that you shoot video this way,
Really? So they want,
which is square video. And I went, oh, really? Well, the reason is when you're scrolling through your phone, a square video holding it this way will take up the majority of the screen. And when people are on Facebook on their mobile devices, typically, you know, they're going like this, they're scrolling up and down. They don't want to have to turn their phone to watch a video. So for Facebook, you can get away with both, but if you want more impact on Facebook, you want to hold your phone vertically. But for all other purposes, for your blog, definitely for YouTube, you want to make sure you hold your phone horizontally. The reason is if I upload a video this way, holding it vertically to YouTube, I'm going to get those nasty black bars on either side of my video. And that's not a technique. That is just saying to the world, you have no clue what you're doing, do you, Gilligan? So number one, always orientate your phone to the platform that you will be uploading that video to.
so what you're saying then, if I'm loading it to YouTube, it's going to go horizontal. So if it's Facebook, it needs to go vertical. What about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, the same thing. You can get away with doing both. All I'm suggesting is based on consumer behavior, which is when they're on their phone, they're doing it this way. On those platforms like Facebook, you definitely want to make sure that it's square. Now, I do both. What I'll do is a teaser video on Facebook, for example, that could be a square video. But the whole idea is it's a 30-second teaser because I'm trying to get them off of Facebook. I want them onto my blog or I want them onto my website. So I'll do the teaser, but then once they come to Michael's playground, you're going to see full definition, high D video, landscape-wise, not like this.
Got it. Well, that's a really great takeaway, Michael. What's mistake number two?
Well, number two, you've probably seen this, Bernice, when you're ready to do your video and you hit record and you start talking into the phone, we have a tendency to look at our smiling face in, let's call it a monitor for lack of a better word, because in essence, it's a monitor when you're recording. What you need to be doing—
It's a mirror. I'm like adjusting my hair.
Yeah, me too. I'm just,
the
adjusting
right way.
Yeah. So what they're doing, they're falling in love with themselves. But the whole thing that makes a video compelling is the engagement part of it. And to do that, I need to be looking you right in the eye like I'm doing now. Now, I'm not trying to stare you down. I want to make this as, exactly, it's got to be like a casual conversation. Well, in video, it's the same thing. I don't want to be looking at myself. I want to make sure I'm looking at that lens and pretending that that's the person I'm having a conversation with. And that's the key. I'm having a conversation with. I'm not pontificating. I'm not trying to be some, Mr. Professor. I want to have an engagement, a conversation so they feel like they're part of it and I'm speaking to them. I'm actually speaking with them.
Now, if we don't turn it around where we're looking at ourselves, we just shoot the other way. Does that get around that? But I think that's a little bit harder when you're not.
Yeah, so you brought up actually a good point. So if I'm doing selfie style video, I would say like 99.9% is going to be this with a back facing camera. Mm-hmm. Now, there are apps available. For example, let's say I'm a realtor, I've just listed a home and I've got an open house coming up on Sunday. Mm-hmm. What I can do is I'll start recording the video, it's facing me, and then I'll hit the pause button. I'll say, hey, it's Mike Creasy here with 123 Real Estate. I'm up front of 123 Banana Street, and I'm just about to do an open house coming up this Sunday. I want to give you a bit of a teaser. So here, I'm going to turn the camera around. Let me give you a quick walkthrough. So you pause the camera. Then you can flip it. So on the camera, you would hit the lens flips around. So I wouldn't physically turn the camera around. But now I've gone from back facing to front facing. I hit record, and now I'm walking through the home. Okay. Now, what you've got to be cognizant of this, here's dopey mistake number 2 or 3 here, point number next. When you record it facing you, back facing camera, there's a microphone on this side. Okay. Now, if I pause and then I hit the button to flip to the front-facing camera, there's a microphone on this side. So you will notice a dramatic difference in the audio quality that the camera is recording, because this obviously is going to be the stronger microphone because I'm looking at it. When I face the camera the other way and I'm talking, the microphone's on this side. So to get around that, a good thing is to get a little lavalier mic. So you plug the mic into your camera. It doesn't matter which way it's pointing, then you'll get exceptional audio quality.
Do you have a recommendation of one that you like?
Depending on your price point, I really like this one. It's called an iRig lav mic, an iRig. And the reason I like it, Bernice, I don't know if you can see this. I'll try to hold it up to the camera. See this little black stringy here, this little box thing? Well, when I plug this into my phone, this allows me to plug another microphone into it. So if you and I were having an interview, I'd have one lapel on me, I'd have the other mic on my guest, and this is all flowing into my iPhone or smartphone, and now I'm going to get exceptional audio from both people. In fact, I could probably put in 3, 4, or 5 microphones because I can daisy chain them out of that little black thing there. And so a 2-pack of these is about $80 on Amazon. iRig lav mic. Love them. Love, love,
How do
love.
you spell that?
iRig, R-I-G, iRig lav mic.
iRig. Okay, so, and that's about $80. That's a great suggestion because with video, the picture's not as important as the audio is. Audio is everything.
70% of a good video is the audio. And here's the other thing. We are now in that age, I feel like we're going full circle, where it's podcasting again. It's all about podcasting. Well, if you do a great video in your editing software, you can now extract your audio. You've got an MP3 that you can upload to these podcasting sites. So I'm all about multi-purposing my content. I shoot a great video, I take out the audio, I upload that, now I've got a podcast. And if I send that audio to a place like Fiverr, I can have it transcribed. So now I've got text that I can be circulating as well. So from one modality, which is shooting video, I've created 3 types of content.
So I can actually send it to Fiverr. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great takeaway. So if you want the text, that gives you the text for the blog. So that's a huge takeaway. So, you know, what are you seeing for the cost of transcription for a couple minutes? Like $5? Is it that cheap?
You work out to $1 a minute.
$1 a minute is the rule of thumb. So,
and if you Google, you'll find transcription sites out there. They're all over the place for about $1 a minute.
no, I had, pardon me, I hadn't checked that for a while. So that's another big takeaway. So that gives you your content. So if you talk for 5 minutes, you know, that's going to give you probably 700 or 800 words, maybe more than that. That's a pretty long blog post. So here you go. That's how you do multi-purpose. That is, I love that repurposing tip, Michael. That's huge. I mean, you know, you've got 2 home runs here already, 3 or 4, in fact. So what's mistake number 3?
The other thing too is when you're doing a video, and we talked about which way you're going to orientate the video. We've talked about looking at the lens. The other key here is you want to make sure you've got this video at eye level. At eye level. And why do you think that is, Bernice?
Well, because it's like, you know, like if I'm looking at my camera, I'm not looking at you.
Okay.
And that's the whole thing. I want to make eye contact with you. Now, that's one of the things I find disturbing about using Zoom because it's backwards. So when I'm looking over to my left, which is over here, but you can see you're actually on my right.
Yeah.
So if I want to look at you, I've got to look that way. I have to remind myself that I should be looking this way instead of that way.
Table that, because that's a good question that I'll bring up in a second here. One of the things about holding your camera at eye level, right now I'm looking into a webcam. Well, if I was having a conversation with you, Bernice, like this, and typically when we're looking into a laptop, because of where the lens is configured, we are looking down at our audience. So what's happening here, there's a social dynamic taking place in the other person's brain, and they feel subordinate to you. You are now in a power position, you're condescending and you're looking down. Nobody likes that. Exactly. Yeah. Good thing you put on deodorant today. I appreciate that.
That I did.
That's where and you shave too, and I appreciate that too. I remember hearing the beads before, but I digress. At eye level, we're creating that illusion, if you will, that we're speaking to the person. It's all about mimicking that conversation. So if I have it at eye level, that person will feel like I'm speaking to them. What you can also do, if you hold it slightly higher, what do you think happens then?
Then they're on this, they're actually, you know, they're above you.
Exactly. They're in the power position. Now, I don't want to be this way where I'm looking up to space, but just slightly higher, they feel like they're in control. And it's not something they identify and go, well, I feel superior. It's just something that's going on that they don't realize. The other thing from an aesthetic point of view, when you have the lens below, like on a laptop, you're getting the double chin action, you're getting nasal hair, cabbage coming out of your ears, all that kind of stuff.
Just what we want to see.
A whole salad cornucopia of things that you don't want. And that's the nature of high definition cameras. So to eliminate that, just hold it at eye level and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's the great thing. You know, they, by the way, you know, as you get older, you know, you hold your chin up.
Let the chips fall where they may. I think that's the expression.
Yeah, let the chips fall where they may. Exactly. Well, I think that's really great. One of the things that I love about Zoom is that, but what I've had to do, I've got like, I've got a stand and then I've got a textbook to get my computer up where at least I'm kind of semi at eye level because I record on, you know, on Zoom. And I love this platform, by the way, because you were talking about this earlier, because what Zoom does is it gives me my MP4, my video, and then it gives me an MP3 of the audio. So I don't, you know, it's just click, I've got it right there. I don't have to separate it, which is nice.
Perfect.
And the cost is under $100 a year or so. I mean, for me, that's just love the platform. But it's not this, you know, does Zoom work, by the way, on your phone, or you're just going to run with whatever's native on the phone? Like if your iPhone, you're just going to use whatever.
I think Zoom as an app allows you to participate in a meeting we're having here. I don't think you can launch one yet, but I don't know enough about Zoom to say one way or the other. I'm just experimenting with it right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough. I don't think you have enough bandwidth on your phone to launch this. I think this is more of a kind of a more robust. I think you can do it on your iPad, but certainly you can do it on your laptop.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan about being nickel and dime. So for me, Zoom is all about doing webinars, and I looked into that as a platform. But now they want an additional $40 a month for that. So now I'm paying $400 a year to be able to do a webinar. Yeah, there's other platforms.
Yeah, but go to webinars like a whole bunch more than that. So. Anyway, and I'm fine. I can do stuff where we were a little bit off here, but I find that I can do meetings pretty easily on Zoom and do it all the time. You know, especially if it's not but if it's a big, you know, big meeting, then that's a whole different thing. So next mistake, Michael. I think we've done 3. What's number 4?
Yeah. So what's another one that I can make up? We talked about orientation, eye level. I think the other thing too is kind of plan ahead of time what it is that you want to talk about. So before you hit the record button, you're going, oh heck, what am I talking about? You may want to just mentally do a dry run through it. And remember, people are busy. So when you are doing a video, give them a reason why they need to watch this. So what's the video about? Give them a call to action at the end, but always introduce yourself, which is really important because if they're watching a video for the first time, they don't know who you are. And if you plan to do more videos, understand that when people see you on camera, they're watching you on TV. The brain doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, I'm watching this on my phone. It's basically moving pictures and sound. And our brain says, yes, I'm watching TV. It doesn't matter if it's on my phone or on my iPad or my big honking TV screen, I'm watching TV. So part of this is I want to always be respectful to the person that's watching my video. So I'm going to tell them what it is in advance. So, hey, it's Michael Creasy here from Agent Inner Circle, agentinnercircle.com. In this week's episode, I'm going to talk about the 5 dumb mistakes that even smart realtors make when doing video. So
well, you know, that's the one of the old speaker guidelines. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them, you know, and it's just that, you know, give them it because you've got 3 seconds to grab their attention. So you better tell them what you're going to cover, because if you don't tell them that, then they're gone.
Also, I mentioned, so I've told them who I am. I've given them a website that they can go to find out more information. I gave them the title. And if they're interested in the topic, there's a higher likelihood they'll watch the video. Now, if they're not interested in the topic, well, good. They're not my customer anyway, or they weren't going to be a prospective subscriber to my channel. The other thing that I told them is in this episode, now, this could be my first video. They don't know that. But in this episode, the notes that there's more to come. So if they like this video, you can bet that they're probably going to be waiting for the next episode. They'll be looking for more content that I produce.
Oh, this is great. Okay, dumb mistake number 5.
Dumb mistake number 5, I would say, is not doing video at all. And what happens is my crappy video will beat the one that you never did each and every time. Each and every time. We're in an age now where it's all about digital media now. Like it or not, I guess according to, I'm having a mental block here, smart people, let's say, according to smart people, that's a good that mobile traffic by 2019 is going to be about 80%, meaning 80% of everything that comes across my cell phone will be video. So if you're not doing video, basically you're cutting yourself out of this loop, because this is what people want. Now, a great example, we're doing home renovations here right now. Oh my God, home renovations. And I was living in a fifth wheel trailer for 8 months while the renovations were going on. I've never
Oh,
lived, I know
wow.
nothing about these things, right? So I bought one, they dropped it on here you can't see it here in my backyard. Well, simple dynamics say that when you put water into a container, eventually water has to come out of that container, right? So every time you flush a toilet, that water is going somewhere, and eventually has to go out. There's holding tanks under that trailer. There's little flashing lights in the trailer that said, "Danger, Will Robinson, you have to empty out these holding tanks," right? Okay, so
Duh.
well, the first thing I do, I go onto YouTube and I Google titanium fifth wheel emptying out holding tanks, and a whole series of videos comes up. So I watched the first one, and the guy gets stuff all over himself. Well, obviously that's something I don't want to do. But after about the second or third video, I found one where the guy had the exact same trailer, laid out all the bits and pieces that I need, showed me sequentially how he put it all together, and took me from the beginning, solving my pain, to the end. So literally, he took me and led me to the promised land, which is a toilet that will flush again. Right?
Yes.
If that guy were to show up at the door, I would have kissed him on the lips, because he solved a problem that I had. Right? Solved a problem that I had.
I tell you, the biggest problem, if your plumbing's not working, that's right at the top of the list. You know, the plumber becomes the most important person on the planet.
Right, but when we look at the hierarchy of what just happened here, he has now earned the right to ask me for something in return. Reciprocity kicks in, and because he helped me, I now want to repay the kindness, and now it's up to him to tell me. So in video, number one, if you want to call it number five part, B and C. 5 is make sure you do it. You just got to do video. But when you do the video, understand that if you've solved somebody's problem or you've answered a question, you've earned the right to ask for something in return. So the fifth thing, or 5-part B or C, would be a call to action. At the end of your video, you always want to tell people what to do. So at the end of my video, say, hey, if you found this insightful, please give us a like, give us a share, and leave a comment below. Now, if I tell them to do it, there's a higher likelihood that they will do it, because basically, Bernice, we're sheep. We want to be led. That's just our nature. So if I've earned the right now to ask for something, I'm going to ask for it, and I'll be specific about what I want them to do.
I tell you, that's a great takeaway. So to kind of sum up for today, Michael, what's your final takeaway for our listeners?
I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. Wah. It's too expensive. Get over it.
It's not too expensive. You've got a phone. It doesn't cost anything. You're already paying for it.
And here's the big teaser I do in classes. I ask for a business card, and everybody's got a business card with their picture on it. I look at it and I say, well, that was great when you were 16. Right? When you were 16, that was a wonderful picture. Now, what's going to happen? Hopefully, when you market, you're sending out flyers and postcards, and you're putting your picture on urinal pucks, and anywhere you can put an image, you're there. Well, the whole idea of your marketing is someone's going to pick up the phone and call you when they're interested to buy or sell real estate. So they do that, and you show up at the door, and you hand them the card, and they're looking at the card, they're looking at you, and they're calling 911 to report a missing realtor. Because the expectation isn't there. Now, what have you done? Instead of know, like, and trust, you're now behind the 8 ball, because through what they were expecting, through your marketing, they can no longer trust you because your marketing is false. In video, just be yourself. It's all about just being yourself. Don't, go to, Saks Fifth Avenue, buy a suit that you can't afford because you have to have it back at 5 o'clock. You're sitting out front of somebody else's car that's not yours and record your message. Video is just all about you being yourself. Have fun with this, and you know what will happen? The person on the other side that's watching that video, they'll make a connection. And if they like you, they like you. And when you show up, you don't have to give them your 121-point listing presentation. They've already decided that you're the person. Your job.
Going back to what we were talking about before we started recording, and this number's been steady for many, many years coming out of NAR when, buyers and sellers are interviewed, sellers in particular. How many agents did you talk to before you hired an agent? And it runs between 72 to 74% talk to one person. So it's the first person who gets there and gets face to face. So that's what video lets you do. It lets you get face to face and make the connection, but then you need the next step, which is the follow-up, getting that appointment. Do you
Well,
have
an interesting thing to dovetail on that is 73% go with the first agent that they met. What you have to take into account is how many agents did they have to see before they met that one. So typically, NAR, I think the latest stat was, and this one still resonates in my head and I don't understand it. They say that almost all home buyers start their search online. That's a pretty big number, almost all. So almost all buyers start their search online. What are they looking for? Well, yes, they're looking at pretty pictures of houses, but they're also watching videos. But the other thing too, I would argue that probably 50% of those buyers have something they have to sell first before they buy.
50% is what the numbers are. You're spot on, actually. Half the buyers have something to sell.
So you think it's a fair statement to say that if they're watching videos and they're looking at marketing, that they're assessing that agent as a potential listing agent for themselves as well? So they're actually auditioning agents ahead of time before they make the decision to buy. They have to make that decision to sell. To make that decision to sell, they have to find somebody to help them. So they're looking at videos, and there's that connection. Yeah, Bernice, there's something about Bernice. I don't know what it is. I won't get into the psychology. That'll be a cliffhanger for the next episode. But there's that connection that's been made. And this is the person I want to work with.
Well, I mean, if you're welcoming and warm and you've got to give them something of value, then they're, and this is the notion of give to get marketing. It's not about me. It's about here's something that can help you with the sale of your house, or here's a piece of information that you could use. Here's the place for down payment resources. You can get, the average grant's $10,000 to $13,000. Check this out. Well, I mean, what buyer, first-time buyer wouldn't want to know about that? And if you're the one that provided that to them, they're going to come back to you. So it's this idea of giving value to your customers that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I like that. You got to be welcoming and warm. You got to be a golden retriever on camera. How's that? I've got to be a golden retriever of a realtor.
I think what Coldwell Banker's thing for about 15, 20 years ago, they were doing their retriever program, which was, matching and sending lists, that's worked for years. So, well, anyway, Michael, I just want to thank you for being with us today. I always love talking to you. And again, we've been visiting with Michael Krisa. He is the executive editor with agentinnercircle.com. He is the guy that I just really trust for video, and, check out what he's doing. Great stuff and great opportunities. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Bernice. Be sure that you go check out our blog at agentinnercircle.com and subscribe.
Absolutely. Go for it.